Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Kraus. But before we begin, if you guys can please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash, what are we reviewing today?
Oh, we have a treat. This is going to be a controversial one, I think.
Very controversial.
Which I did not, a week ago, if you asked me what was going to be the most controversial film of this week, it was not going to be The Eternals. But
I would never have guessed.
Yeah. But definitely splitting parties. Yeah, we are doing the newest addition to the Marvel Universe. What is the 26th film?
There's quite a few films.
There's been a couple of them, yeah.
It's either 25 or 26.
Directed by Chloé Zhao, coming off her Oscar-winning directorial of
Nomadland.
Loved
Frances
Nomadland.
McDormand. Yeah, I
loved it.
Phenomenal film.
It made my top 10 for sure. I don't know where it did, but it made my top 10.
Yeah, I think it was like 1 for me. I think that was
really.
I think that was my favorite film last year.
I gotta go back and watch that. But yeah, so she's coming off. Of course, she's an indie director, doing a Marvel film. That's kind of a
little indie Marvel film.
Yeah, it kind of is an indie Marvel. That's what it feels like. But yeah, Marvel always likes to get indie directors to come in, and because they like getting good directors. But Chloé Zhao, interestingly enough, she came to Marvel and was like, I got this idea for Eternals. I want to fucking do it. And that's how this happened, which is surprising. Usually they come to you, and then they got to convince the indie director, because you got to imagine directing an indie film from a Marvel film is very different.
Yeah, you could say hundreds of millions of dollars different. First off. Second off, the pressure of having hundreds of people collectively around you on set and all that. So there's a lot of differences.
And you could probably get a lot more say in an indie film when you're directing than you do a Marvel film, which is very formulaic, and it's pretty much run by Kevin Feige, who is the godfather of Marvel at this point, and he says what goes and doesn't go. But I feel like for this one, she definitely got a lot of freedom, for sure. Because this film, The Eternals, does not really follow the formula of other Marvel films.
No, and even some of the dialogue to even bring up DC superheroes, I thought was really interesting.
That's what I was going to say. And that's another thing about this film is a lot of people originally theorized that this would be another dimension of Earth because of what happens in this film and whatnot. And to me, it would have made a lot more sense had it been. But yeah, I thought the same thing. Have they ever mentioned a DC superhero? And
this had to have been the first time.
I did not think that they were even in the universe. So this means that Superman is a thing, but he's just a comic book character.
Yeah, I guess so. Because the kid brought it up. Obviously.
No, he's not actually a real superhero. Yeah, that's why at first I was thinking, maybe at the very end they're gonna show that this is not Earth 616 or where the Earth is that they go, but a different Earth. But that wasn't the case because they talk about the snap and
Thanos,
they talk about the Avengers and how there's no leader for the Avengers and
when
whatnot.
the Iron Man and Captain America died. So.
Exactly, and that Icarus was talking about at one point. Maybe he could lead them, like a little wink, wink, of course. But yeah, a different Marvel film we got to talk about. Critics hate this one.
Hate this film, and like when I watched it, and I'm always just honest, and I get it. Like you are much more of a critic. Like you kind of grasp the whole concept of it. For me, I like the storytelling. I like the character development, and it's such a hard task to introduce like 11 new superheroes.
It's very difficult.
All at once, but I love the relationships between all of them. I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, it's very strange. I kept looking to see what critics were saying, and even after reading reviews, I still was like, well, I still don't really understand why you hated it this much.
Yeah.
Like, I get that the story was a little, because you had so many characters, it was a very, very long origin story for Marvel. I think it's their longest, besides Endgame, I think this is their longest origin story ever.
Oh, for sure. This is damn near 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, and that's one thing. It definitely felt much longer than any Marvel film I've ever saw. Like, I realized that in the theater. Like, oh, this is going a lot longer than any other Marvel film would. Because Marvel films are usually just so fucking tight. And they end, right when they fucking need to end. This one, it was long, but it felt like it needed to be long because of... And at the end, I still didn't feel like we were getting enough...
context.
And time with a lot of these characters.
But that was the thing for me. Like, yeah, again, this film is like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And this is something that I always factor in when I review a film. I go, okay, was that 2 hours and 40 minutes warranted? Or did we need that time with these characters? Or is this just added fluff that kind of takes away from the film? For me, it added so much. Like, every second of that film, I actually sat there in the theater enjoying this film. It's obviously not my favorite Marvel film of all time, but I also could not believe the reviews. I mean, it's sitting at like 48% right now on Rotten Tomatoes.
It is the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score for a Marvel film, and also the lowest cinema score ever for a Rotten Tomato or for a Marvel film, which is, it's wild. We were talking about it a little earlier, but I'm like, would you rather see Thor: Dark World over this?
No, I'd rather watch
or
the Eternals.
Would you rather see Iron Man 2 over this? Or even Iron Man 3? I think I'd rather see the Eternals. There's a lot of other movies I'd rather watch the Eternals over. But again, the critics' score is fucking baffling.
And again, like, if you're not a big comic book guy, and I'm sure in the comic books they probably talk about how the Eternals are actually quote unquote the bad guys, right? But for me, I'm not a huge comic book guy. I never read the Eternals or anything. So I really like the twist of the Eternals, actually kind of being the bad guys in the eyes of, like, the deviants.
I think even in the comic book, they're always not known. I mean, they're not knowingly being bad, Exactly. They're always being used by Ishram, the
giant robot man.
The Celestial, man. I thought that was the imagery for one. Chloé Zhao has an eye, obviously, for cinematic scenes, for fucking sure. She knows how to use the camera, because some of the visuals in this film were stunning. I loved the magnitude of Arishem. He was so fucking big, and he felt not just physically big, but he felt otherworldly big.
And I'm just using this as a reference point, but you look at Dune, and obviously the giant sandworm that comes up as Timothée Chalamet is getting pulled into the spaceship. They give you that depth. They show you just how big this creature is. The same way with Ishram, or what's his name again? It's Ishram, right? Or Ashram?
Yeah, Irishram, I think, yeah.
But, when any time any of these Eternals were face to face with him, you saw it because he would hold his hand out. So you saw how massive this Celestial was, and that's what I liked. I like those visuals because it put things in perspective, and it kind of gave you a base to work off how incredibly small these Eternals were.
Well, this is one thing that the Eternal does. It bites off a lot. I mean,
there's a lot going on in this for sure.
Basically, they're setting up that there is, no religion, actually, but Arishem. He is the creator of the universe. He is Arishem the judge. He's the decider who decides what planets survive and live. They literally go back 7,000 years and be like, this is how religion starts. Like, this is, it's, for a Marvel film to do all that, I think that maybe is what critics disliked, but because it's, again, without seeing it, it's hard to describe, but it's a much darker, much more mature Marvel film. They're not really pulling the punches that they normally do, thinking that there'd be a lot of kids. When I went, there was a lot of kids in the audience, and a lot of kids that definitely didn't understand a lot of the heavier themes, for sure.
Yeah, I could imagine not.
Like the whole Hiroshima with the bomb being dropped. Mm-hmm. Obviously, an 8-year-old.
What is this? Well, I don't understand.
So I think that is why the critics were also like, this needs to be a Marvel film if it's going to be a Marvel film. So anything else to go outside of that formula, which is so weird because critics, need to be on the forefront of things that work. But for these ones, it feels like, I don't know, they were a step behind. But I think that's what hurt them, was it didn't feel like a straight up Marvel film, which is, at this point, I don't want it to anymore.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. So it's like
25 films we've had of the same shit.
Of the same formula. And though that formula is effective and really good, at the same time, like, it's okay to mix it up a little bit. And you see these wrenches being thrown into the MCU universe, you know, obviously with like Deadpool, right?
Right.
Rated R, very gritty, very real, you know, like an action comedy is what I call that. But I like when they transition and move away from the formulaic, like, just process of the Marvel films. And that's what I thought Eternals did well, is it took this kind of just new routes into a new, like, fourth phase of the MCU.
Yeah. I agree, and it felt very phase 4 to me too, where again it's dealing with that interdimensional craziness that we're going to be seeing with Doctor Strange and what we've been really seeing. But yeah, I enjoyed the heavier themes for sure. The things that worked the best for me were the moments of like the weight weighing down on these 7 Eternals as they've lived for so long and have seen so much and have not been able to interfere for so long. You know, 7,000 years they've lived and they've never been able to interfere. They've only been able to see human beings kill themselves. So it's like I loved seeing that the weight for
Athena, Angelina Jolie, right?
Athena's character, but also Druig, who's the kid from Killing a Sacred Deer.
Right, of course.
Immediately, I thought, oh, he's the bad one.
Mm-hmm.
You
always got to look at that kid as a bad guy.
And he kind of is, but he's so fucking good, dude. He's such an amazing actor. But yeah, his whole story arc of him really like almost driving him crazy because his power is he literally can only control humans, but he's not allowed to fucking interfere, which is why I don't even know why you would bring him down.
Yeah, if you're not allowed.
Yeah.
But that was also more Ajax than it was Ishram, you know, the giant celestial. Like, I feel like Ajax was kind of more that person who brought them back, because obviously she had the full perspective of everything going on.
Yes.
Right? And the fact that they literally build these worlds up, they build up the population, they build up enough energy on the planet, and then a celestial is born through that planet, massacring, and it's genocide, you know, because everyone dies on that planet.
It's genocide to call that, yeah. There's
well,
not a single guy survived.
No, I think that's a
It is
fair
the
call
most
on genocide.
complete genocide that you've ever seen. Yeah, it's super fucking cool visually, for sure. But yeah, it's that's the big spoiler at the end, is that they are working against mankind when the whole time they were thinking that they were
helping them,
absolutely.
And imagine that concept for thousands of years, thinking that you're helping civilization grow and evolve and become better. I mean, even like Fastos too, played by Brian Tyree Henry, but you know, his whole purpose down there was to kind of evolve these humans at a rate, you know, with like,
well, he had one of the
that.
best story arcs for sure. Mm-hmm. And I talked about it just earlier about him. He was because all the Eternals, 7 of them, right?
Yep.
They all have specific powers to help build civilizations. Mm-hmm. So, like we said, Druig, he can control people, and that comes in handy because they always are attacking everyone. Of course. And as soon as the Eternals come down, humans immediately want to attack them, of course. So he's got to kind of calm the storms. But then you have Brian Tyree Henry's character, Fastos, who is the inventor.
Yep.
And he furthers civilization by giving them inventions.
And then you have the goddess of war, Athena, played by Angelina Jolie.
It's just and then some of them kind of blur together. Mm-hmm. Because the other 4 just seem like they're fighters.
Well, Kingo, Kingo's the same way, too.
We'll talk about him because he stole the show for me, the actor and everything.
And Harish Patel, as well as Karun.
Yes.
Karun, his director guy with the cameras. A lot of those jokes, dude, landed for me, and I found myself laughing in the theater. I thought that duo was hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially the whole camera thing. Geez, how many cameras do you have?
Right.
And they progressively got smaller and worse over time for how many times people broke his camera. And then the last one was like a little handheld camera.
Yeah, he had a lot of cameras, yeah. But Brian Tyree Henry's Fastos, I like that character arc a lot because he was the inventor, and all of every Earth's invention, guns, anything bad, bombs, weapons, chemical warfare, he took the toll of. It was all the weight was on him because he literally gave them the power. So there is a really good scene of him at Hiroshima after. I mean, it's probably the darkest any Marvel film goes, as in like connecting it to real world events. Like obviously the snap was pretty dark, half people died, but this is the scene for sure that I guarantee kids were like, "What the fuck?" Like it was, but that was extremely dark, and yeah, I just thought it really worked for me. Was that guy's fucking role, and then his turning of like not wanting to do it at all and just settling down with an actual fucking family.
Well, imagine that too. Like your whole purpose in life, like this Eternal's Phastos purpose was to help mankind, and every time he tried to help mankind, they would inevitably and inherently, as human beings,
turn it into a weapon,
turn it into something not good for the planet.
Immediately, yeah.
And that does take a
Except
toll.
for the plow. You got to assume the plow never did anything wrong to anyone.
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe the ox will think a little different because they were working nonstop, but
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but the steam engine probably was immediately turned into a tank, and then
and then whatever else,
anything else to. But yeah, for sure you thought, but for sure you felt that it weighed, like something's weighed on, like him and Druig were for sure taking the blunt of the weight of, like, Druig can literally control everyone on Earth. He says it at one point, but he refuses.
Well, that would suck too, seeing people kill, rape, and pillage and do all these horrific acts that the mankind has been known to do for thousands of years. You having the power to control that.
Your only power.
Yeah,
you're useless. I mean, literally, he was useless for about the first 500 years, and then they said, okay, we're done. We can't interfere anymore. He's the only one that doesn't get to use his power anymore. Yeah. It's pretty
kind of messed up.
Yeah. But, yeah. And I think that's maybe my biggest complaint is some characters just do not get the time to develop like these other characters do. Like, I thought Cersei, which there's some strange Game of Thrones connections throughout the entire movie for some reason.
I know. And me and my wife definitely picked up on that right away with Richard Madden and
Kit Harington.
Kit, yes.
Of course, Jon Snow, who is plays a very small role in this, but is actually, of course, is playing a superhero.
The Black Knight.
The Black Knight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, again, comic book I've never read.
Oh, no. Not like anyone has.
No, I did the research, though, afterwards, because I stayed for the first post-credit scene.
I did not. You can fill me in on that. Because I heard there's a little Marshall Ali teaser.
Well, and I guess Harry Styles is playing Euros, so like Euros
I didn't know
showed
that.
up and was like, "Hey, I'm Thanos' brother." Blah 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 blah. And I don't know, it didn't work for me. I was like, okay, well, I'm not staying for the second.
No, you don't need to. Definitely not. But
I guess the second one. So the second after credit scene is basically Kit Harington playing Dane Whitman. He goes into the shop and like he sees the Black Knight sword. Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you're not ready for that." And then that was it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I watched it on YouTube, and I'm so glad I didn't stay for that because, bro, you have to stay for like 20 minutes.
And I obviously knew that he was, because at the very end he goes, "Oh, and I need to tell you something." Like, what are the fucking odds these superheroes are just running into each other?
Right,
like,
on planet Earth. Yeah,
know,
the billions of people on Earth.
Yeah, it's fucking, I don't know.
My family has a complicated history.
Yeah. Like, yeah, well, you're not going to believe mine. Yeah. Fucking Cersei's like, yeah. But yeah, I thought that was, again, I thought the whole Cersei arc was underwhelming for sure. I don't know if we got enough time with it or just wasn't enough there, but it felt very offhanded. Like, at the very end, she could kill the thing, but she didn't want to kill the thing. It would have been too much power or something. Because the whole time they're trying to get it to go back to sleep just so they have enough time to figure out what to do. But she's always had the power to kill things,
right?
To transform
especially after
things.
Ajax died too.
Yeah. Well, when she gets the
little ball thing that goes into her neck.
Yeah.
So she can talk to Ishram. But I do want to talk about Richard Madden. I was very impressed with his performance. I liked it a lot, man. And I'm telling you right now, I had some The Boys vibes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I thought so. Homelander for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
He does a good job. I knew almost immediately he was. That's one thing about this film. It's pretty predictable. I knew damn near within 5 minutes he was going to be the one to turn on him. I mean, actually, I don't even know if it's played that way or if it's just kind of weak writing in a sense, but it's hinted at almost directly that he was going to end up being the bad guy. Almost to a sense where I thought maybe we're going to get a double twist to where he's not the bad guy, but immediately they're like, yeah, he just left.
Exactly. He just
Red
left,
flag.
and then they show up to Ajax in South Dakota,
And he goes,
she's just laying there dead.
And he immediately goes, "Oh, must have been a deviant."
Yeah.
We haven't even looked around yet. How about give us half a second? I mean, he immediately knows. Like, it looked bad for sure.
Another thing I didn't like about this either, and how convenient was this, right? But you had Icarus and then Ajax, and just so conveniently, he takes Ajax to this place in Alaska where these 5 deviants were frozen in the ice, and they just like finally got de-thawed, and now they're here. I was like, that was kind of weak writing, because it's like, what? So these apex predators who stay on Earth, they just got frozen in place, and now they're here. I didn't like that.
Well, the whole deviant thing, I thought you didn't even need it. You could have taken the whole deviant thing out and just have been them discovering Arusham was bad or whatever. And then, because this movie was already so fucking long, there's already so many fucking characters, and that deviant thing really seems like it's going somewhere with the evolving.
Of course. I thought that was going to be the main bad guy.
Kills 3 people, and then Angelina Jolie kills him in a second. So I thought, man, maybe they were going somewhere else with that, and then he goes nowhere. He's voiced by Bill Skarsgård, by the way.
That is true. And here's the thing.
Thank you.
So I did, and this is kind of where I'm torn on the deviant thing, because I love the story arc of the deviants, because then you start to realize, like, as this character is talking, Crow, which is the main deviant that evolves, voiced by
Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But we see this evolution and change in obviously his appearance, taking the powers of these Eternals, and then when we kind of understand why this deviant is doing it, he believes that like Eternals are the evil ones, genociding like his
people, his race.
His people, yeah, his race of people,
Yeah.
the deviants.
It was just the too many cooks in the kitchen thing where I thought maybe have a deviants be the bad guy for the second film. The deviants are the main bad guy in any Eternals film, so to me it definitely felt like, well, if we have Eternals, we have to have deviants. But I felt like, just having the second coming of the Celestial or whatever would have been good enough, and then really diving deep, but Marvel's not willing to take that chance of not having a main bad guy yet. They're just not there. And you see it with this fucking film, is they'll probably never take another chance again. The way this film is doing. But yeah, I felt...
The real quick, because the audience score is what Marvel and Kevin Feige should really focus on, because the audience score for this is in the mid-80s. That's what you want. If the audience is going out and supporting it, then to hell with what the critics think. If the audience is enjoying the film and it's made for you, the audience, you don't make movies for critics.
Well, and it's not the best film of all time at the box office, but it made $70 million is what they're projecting opening weekend. Not the weakest Marvel performance. Ant-Man was by $50 million, I think. But yeah, it's not underperforming at the box office, and it's doing $70 million opening weekend at a time that we're living right now. When there's so many fucking films. You got Dune out. You got Last Night in Soho.
And people
so
still
many
hesitant
films competing
about going to theaters as well.
Yeah, you have
all
so
these
many
factors.
films competing.
Yeah.
For this to make $70 million, I think they should be looking at it like a slam fucking dunk.
Yeah.
But it's just they're so used to them performing. It's $161 million worldwide on a $200 million budget. It is a huge budget.
And that's opening weekend, too.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. You almost made your money back already.
And we still have Sunday to go. We're recording this on Sunday.
Right.
But yeah, so I just don't... Again, the confusion for the hate is... It's really weird. I don't think it's warranted. I don't think it's the lowest rated film of all time. But I thought the visuals, again, were fucking amazing. That scene when Arusham comes at the very end and he like parts the fucking clouds as he comes down to Earth or whatever, and he yanks him into space.
That was pretty sick.
And then he disappears and he turns into a black hole. And he's like warping around time. I thought was fucking cool. Those were super fucking cool.
Well, I loved the opening scene for this film as well. And this is something you don't see in Marvel films either, because this was pretty like, boom, in your face, where it was kind of sudden and scary.
I know exactly the scene we're talking about.
Yeah, where the, it's like thousands of years ago, and he turns to his son and he goes, run. And then boom, the deviant just
and then
eats him.
Half a second later, the Eternals show up. Of
course.
If I was that kid, I'd be like, wow.
Thanks for showing up.
Good timing. Yeah. 5 seconds earlier, my dad would still be alive. It was crazy, like, because that thing bites him, and they're immediately, like, ill timing for that kid.
Oh, you got to feel bad for the kid, but he did get a little souvenir, that golden knife. So
I know.
Nice.
That was another thing. It shouldn't bother me at all, but it's something stupid because it's all fictional. But it's like, it was a thing where it's like humans were fucking stupid caveman until the Eternals came and like sped them along. Because immediately I thought it shows Mesopotamia, which was a giant city at the time. But when it first shows them, it's like 4 huts. And it's like, well, deviants don't even have that big of a job. It's like 12 people on Earth at this point. Right. You're not killing a lot of people. But it's like, but then it gives in the thing where it's like the only reason that we evolved was because of these Eternals came down. And like, they didn't have any metal work or anything. Celeste had to change all their stone work into metal and whatnot. So it gives humans 0 credit at all.
No, humans didn't do shit. If it wasn't for the Eternals, we wouldn't be here.
As far as, we'd be fucking cavemen still. Yeah, killing each other. So that's one thing, but it's like, it's a comic book movie. But this one does set up a lot. I mean, they invented the universe in this film.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, there's so much going on with this film. You have to establish so many characters and so many relationships, too. And I really like the Gilgamesh and Thena relationship.
Gotta talk about that.
Yeah, I really
haven't even talked about it yet. Angelina Jolie, you could tell if anyone else was playing this Athena role, it would have been just a throwaway.
Well, but and she could really have easily been overplayed, too.
And you could have thrown, I felt like you could have thrown anyone into that role. But Angelina Jolie really makes that role her own. That's a throwaway role that, again, you can give anyone. But she made that role kind of stand out. Yeah. She does a great job. And then Gilgamesh, who...
Ma Dong-seok.
Who was landing every joke for me.
Every joke. I thought he was hilarious.
I thought this film, the tone was kind of weird because it was clearly trying to be darker, but they were also trying to insert that Marvel humor. That light, very light humor where you don't have to think at all. And the jokes did not work all the time for me, but when Gilgamesh was on screen, I was laughing when the audience wasn't laughing.
I gotta be honest.
That first scene when they're killing all the deviants, and he's like fist fighting that one, and then comes up and he just fucking slaps.
Yeah.
I was dying, and no one else said a fucking word in my audience.
Yeah, that's where I kind of disagree with you, though, because I enjoyed majority of the humor in this film. I thought a lot of those jokes landed. Yeah. I was laughing.
But I'm sure you probably even enjoy more of the Marvel humor than I do. And
that's true.
I definitely don't. It feels like the most formulaic thing in Marvel when it's like, okay, 15 minutes, insert joke here. It's like, or big battle scene, insert joke right before something tragic happens. Like it's very formulaic to me. And this movie, to me, I really wanted it to go on its own, but it still clearly had those ties where they had to do some things because you got 40 executives telling you what to do and how to make a movie. But Gilgamesh, the big baby thing. Oh, I'm a big baby. I laughed so fucking hard, dude.
When then he gets dressed up as a baby at what? Well,
that's what I was talking about. They just see. He goes, "Oh, I'm a baby." It's so funny. I enjoyed it a lot. And of course, they kill him off. My favorite character every fucking time.
But you have to kill off the most likable character. Because then you get
There's so many other characters I would not have mind for them to kill off for sure. Like Angelina Jolie's character should have died 110%. She was off her rocker at one point, She wasn't. So
she was also the reason why they learned about the planet destructions over the billions of years.
Well, kind of. I mean, Ajax, remember, went to Risham early on anyways and said, hey, this planet's different. It wasn't because of Thena. But Thena, we learned she never got her memories erased for some reason. Do they ever talk about why that happened?
No. but she didn't get it wiped out correctly, which I forget what the illness is that they call
Mad Weary.
Mad Weary, yes.
I don't know how I fucking...
How did you remember that?
I don't fucking know.
Mad Weary, yeah.
Because it was something that was so like... It felt like something Harry Potter-esque to me. Mad Weary.
Yeah.
But it was like... Which I liked. I liked that whole storyline a lot, that Orisham created these sentient robots to send down, and every time they kill a planet, they would reset them. But somehow there's a flaw in the fucking robots where every once in a while someone would keep their memories over millions of years. So millions of lives they would keep, and that would eventually ruin the programming.
Yeah.
it would make her go haywire, which they don't act like robots at all. How I'm describing it, you make you think like they're like sparks and shit. They're very advanced robots.
I also want to talk about, I really enjoyed this character too. And it's a character that you can really sympathize with because over thousands upon thousands of years living your life. And that's the character of Sprite. I felt for this character because that would be extremely hard to see all the other Eternals living as adults and being able to go and do adult things. But Sprite being a child robot for thousands of years. She also obviously loved Icarus, could never fall in love with him, obviously because she looks like a child. So, like, I liked that because that's sad. That's sympathetic. Like, imagine being Sprite.
In my mind, why are they even making a child robot?
Well, and that's what they always bring up, too. Like, with Ishram, so like, weird. Why did he create me like this?
But when they show you, like, the flashbacks of them creating, like, all of them, when she first meets Ishram or whatever, it shows, like, in the crowd, there's a bunch of kids in there. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're thinking, I don't know, maybe they'll be more relatable to the Earth crowd or the Earth youth audience.
And you could also do that just for like kids who watch the film as well. So at least there's one kid in the film, like Tom Holland or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, but there's rarely kids in these fucking...
That is true. Yeah, there's rarely...
there's really a kid hero. And the thing that's going to suck
Except DC, Shazam.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, half the time they're kids, then they turn into adults. So... But yeah, I thought my main problem with that was like, what are they going to do if they make a second one? She's clearly not going to stay 12 forever.
Well, no, because at the end, remember, she gets turned to a human.
I forgot. So she's not going to be in any of them. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Which I think is smart to do.
But the whole reasoning was so off-handed. It was so stupid. She's like, oh, by the way, I got a little more celestial juice in me. Like, let's make everyone human here. Yeah. Like, if you're doing it for everyone, but it was just the thing where clearly they had to write her out of the...
Yeah, because what are you going to do? Make another film in 4 years and then she's like 20 but I'm the same age. No, you're not.
Yeah. We're getting down the time. One more scene. Probably my favorite scene of the whole movie was the scene back with Droog, who's played by Barry Cohen. It's very Irish, his name. But the scene when he really fucking snaps... when the Mayans are being attacked, or the Aztecs are being attacked, whatever, by the Spanish or whatever, and it's a massacre, right? And he's really freaking out, and he starts controlling them against their will or whatever, but it seems very like him walking down the Aztec tower as he was like hands folded in, and they were
all of them falling,
all stopped, and then it was fucking, for a Marvel film, very fucking creepy and weird. And then when they go to the same place, just present time, he has like a giant cult.
Yeah,
it's like
definitely
Jonestown for sure. And he's wearing robes.
When he brags about, I've been keeping these people safe for 20 generations.
Yeah, exactly. I love those scenes. I thought that was so fucking interesting. That's and very un-Marvel-esque because it's very fucking dark. Mm-hmm. But him walking down the Aztec towers as it was all fucking burning, and they're like dropping their guns and bowing to him. He was as much of a god as anyone, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
And they even bring that up at the end. They're like, you're not a god, you know.
Well, I think obviously, no, he would be the most, he would be, if you're looking at Earth and human beings, he is the most powerful superhero of all time because he controls every human being. There is going to be no resistance, and nothing.
And you really thought he was going to be a bad guy because, of course, he has to be the most tempted to turn, always.
Yeah,
I mean, he would be the only one that would probably not want to leave Earth eventually, you know? He can control fucking everything, so I really like that story arc. I thought there did be more of that. He does come up at the end and fucking bonk Sprite with a rock on top of that, which I thought was very uneternal of him, but I just really like that. That's probably my favorite scene.
So we'll wrap this up because we're at our time now, but I do want to ask, and we normally typically don't do this, but because of the controversy, I feel like we kind of have to. I would like to do a grading system with you.
Sure.
As far as, do you think this film failed? Do you think it not? For me, I sit right on the edge of a C+, B-. I enjoyed this. I would actually recommend it if you like Marvel films. Go and see this movie. I think it's well worth the ticket admission. But what are your thoughts? Like, do you give this a passing grade or a failing grade?
Definitely, good question. Definitely, I think I'm probably a little. I was gonna say 70 to 75 range.
Okay,
for sure. It's not my lowest for sure, and I like that it does something new because all we talk about when we do Marvel films is like, yeah, they're good, but they're so predictable. It's the same thing over and over again. But I like that they did something different, but it's just very typical of the times for anything. If it's too much risk and you don't think it's going to make enough money, then it's going to be shot down. So I think that's what's going to happen with this thing is I don't think we're going to get another. I think we'll get similar films because it's Phase 4 and there are films like that, but I don't see anyone taking another risk like this because of how much the critics fucking hate. And we got to talk about this is probably the most inclusive Marvel film of all time.
Yes.
Which is, I thought it'd be the worst. I thought regular people were going to fucking hate that. And I thought the critics would be like, fuck yeah, they're including everyone. Yeah. Hated it.
Complete opposite.
The inclusion.
They did. They absolutely did. That's what they're all mad about. Those
a gay couple in a fucking Marvel film
just pounding their keyboards. They're like as professional reviewers.
I know, yeah.
For critics, I should say, but yeah.
So bizarre. I'd love to sit down with the critic and be like, just explain it to me.
Yeah, why did you hate this so much? Because there's some of them who hated this.
I know.
I was like, I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad.
I didn't think so either, but
and again, if you're making money, if the audience enjoys it, to hell with the critics. Because I guess I'll ask you this. I'll pose this question too before we wrap up. As for me, would I like to see another Eternals film or some of these characters kind of go and do their own things in some sort of film, or just a continuation of any Eternal in general or a sequel? My answer to that is actually yes. Like I would. I enjoyed this enough to where I'd like to see the continuation of these stories.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to do it on Earth. Maybe they can go somewhere else and do it. They did talk about finding other Eternals to try to change them because they're so powerful for one. I don't know how. But one last thing is this movie completely kind of changes the outlook for, I mean, now Earth has this giant celestial halfway frozen out there. I mean, that's going to change some things, right?
Oh, yeah. And that hit the news right away.
Yeah,
so everyone knows.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to fuck with the ecosystem as well.
Oh, I would say so. Halfway through Earth's, or all the way through Earth's crust.
That thing doesn't stop right there. It goes thousands of miles into the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a problem there, I'm guessing. Yeah. But yeah, I see. I would like, because clearly Zoe Chao likes this fucking franchise, so I'd like to see something different. Maybe team up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I can see them.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I can see that happening because it's out in space and they can do their own thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would recommend it though.
That's what I
would say go and see it. Yeah, that's all I got though.
Alrighty, well that is our review for the Eternals. If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krausen. Until next time,
bye.